All right, so today we're not just analyzing a story, we're diving into what feels like an intellectual salvage mission. What you're about to hear is basically a formal report, a debriefing filed for the Obsidian Throne. You can think of that as a symbolic seat of ultimate judgment. And our mission? To make sense of a truly fundamental conflict over the very nature of reality. So let's open the case file.
Here it is, case file, the triple-tongued truth. This is our formal investigation into a clash of absolute fundamental forces. Our whole objective here is to really dissect the arguments, to get to the heart of what each side believes, and then to understand the final synthesis that resolves this cosmic trial.
You know, the setting for this whole confrontation is absolutely critical. We are in the city of Ash, a place where you get the sense that all meaning has just been burned away, and the specific site, the roots of a blackened oak. This is ground zero, a place where three cosmic tongues or truths are about to meet and argue their case for existence itself.
Okay, Section 1. Our investigation is going to start with the first tongue, which is the force of absolute order. It's time to hear the defense of Wotan, the architect of reality.
Wow, this one quote just perfectly sums up his entire position, doesn't it? Wotan doesn't see his laws as some oppressive force, he sees them as absolutely necessary. He argues that he provides the essential weight, right? The foundational structure that reality needs, because without it, the whole thing would just disintegrate into the very chaos his opponent calls home. So let's break down his thesis here. The law of the high star. This isn't about control just for the sake of it. He sees it as the structural glue of reality. But pay attention to the justification. This is key. Wotan claims that without his laws, unfiltered, raw truth would literally turn souls to ash. He believes there's an immutable debt to existence itself to maintain this protective order.
And that brings us to the second tongue. Now we get to hear from the prosecution, the spirit of negation, Mephistopheles. And he's not here to just tear reality down. He's here to prosecute its falsehoods through what he calls his vile economy.
And right there, that's the core of his entire function. See, Mephistopheles isn't some simple destroyer. He is the spirit that negates. His method is so insidious. He'll give you everything you think you want, only so you can discover for yourself its ultimate hollowness. His entire goal is to make you feel the torment of having everything and holding nothing.
This chart just puts their conflict in such stark contrast. You can really see it side by side. Where Wotan offers structural glue, Mephistopheles brings the friction of the pit. While Wotan demands we honor an immutable debt, Mephistopheles stings us with ignoble knowledge. From the negator's point of view, Wotan's order is just a stagnant facade. And to the architect, Mephistopheles' chaos isn't real truth, it's just a dark refraction.
So what even is this vile economy he runs? Well, a report defines it as a kind of mental marketplace. And in this economy, genuine truth is an expensive, devalued luxury that almost no one can afford. Meanwhile, the soul is treated as the cheapest, most easily traded commodity of all.
As his main piece of evidence, Mephistopheles presents Exhibit A, the Gilded Cage. These are the very institutions that Wotan's order relies on. He prosecutes marriage not as a beautiful union, but as a theatrical grave that cares more about social preservation than authentic passion. He scoffs at church authority, calling it a pathetic economy of virtue. The whole function of these cages, he says, is to make you mistake a leash for a golden chain.
And the climax of the negator's whole argument comes down to this, the logic of zero. This is that moment. The moment when all the unearned status, all the titles, all the institutional pride that Wotan's system builds up is suddenly revealed to be totally and completely insignificant. It's what he calls the honest sound of the universe, that heavy thud that reveals the hollowness of it all.
So, with these two massive, opposing arguments on the table, our investigation now has to introduce a third figure. He's not a participant, not really. He's a crucial witness who stands right between them, the uncanny jester.
The jester states his purpose so clearly here. He's not here to judge Wotan or Mephistopheles. No, he's stepped down from that safe judge's bench to be a witness. He wants to become the honest bridge between the fire of Wotan's forge and the spray from Mephistopheles' pit, between total order and total negation.
So what makes him qualified for this role? What gives him the right? Well, this slide tells us everything we need to know. He has walked the 10,000 hells. He gets Wotan's structured kingdom, and he gets Mephistopheles' chaotic forest because he has actually lived in both. He's traded the empty vanity of one for the profound, grounding weight of the other.
And this brings us to the final section of our report. The resolution to this whole cosmic trial, it doesn't come from one side winning. It comes from the witness himself, undergoing this incredible, profound transformation. This is the uncanny synthesis.
Now look at this process. This is not easy. I mean, the sheer pressure of trying to contain both Wotan's structure and Mephisto's chaos starts to literally crack the Jester's masks. And these fractures, they don't heal. They spread, they keep going until the mask he wore and the face underneath become one and the same. And out of this painful fusion, a new being emerges, the truth-telling monster. And his words, they aren't jokes anymore. They're absolute verdicts.
And this is his final testimony. The stinging grit from the pit, once it's been subjected to the immense pressure of structure, has now become a pearl of revelation. The verdict is finally clear. By holding that impossible tension between the two extremes, the stars and the abyss, he's forged a middle path.
And so, the report for the Obsidian Throne concludes. The triple-tongued truth reveals that reality is neither Wotan's dead, rigid law, nor is it Mephistopheles' cruel, cynical joke. It's a living, breathing revelation that's born from the tension between them. The grotesque, the monstrous, the synthesized being is finally home.
Which, of course, leaves us with this final, pretty unsettling question. If the only path to a higher, more complete truth requires us to synthesize order and chaos within ourselves, to let our masks crack and fuse with our real face, does finding truth mean we have to risk becoming a monster?